Hi, I'm Utkarsh, and welcome to Gut Talk, where we're gonna talk to creators, fermenters, and brewers who are shaping the diverse fermentation culture across the globe. And today we have someone on the panel who has been brewing craft kombucha long before it became cool. So welcome Hani Islam from Mountain Bee Kombucha. Welcome to my new show, Gut Talk, where we're gonna talk to creators, brewers, and fermenters like you who has been shaping fermentation culture all over the globe. And I know you have been doing craft kombuchas long before it became cool. Now it's the trend where people are like into fermentation and kombucha, but you have been doing from ages. You have been teaching people how to brew kombucha and do fermentation. And I'm so glad we are doing this together. And you are speaking about kombucha today, of course. So I want to start by asking you this very simple question. How did kombucha come into your life? What is the story behind your kombucha journey?
I think I would call it very serendipitous. The way I was looking for doing or finding a skill. Honestly, I had a good job, a long, good, successful career in the corporate world, but then I thought this is not something I see myself doing in the next 5 or 10 years. I need a human skill, like a proper skill that I can use. And I was exploring food as a way for me to express and be creative. And around this journey of figuring out things for myself, I stumbled upon a volunteering opportunity in Goa. There is an arts festival called Serendipity Arts Festival that happens in December. So I just enrolled to volunteer at their food related workshops and stuff. So that was their first ever edition. So everybody was figuring out a lot of things. And I was super, super lucky that I was able to work with lovely artists, chefs, craft brands, which were working in the field of fermentation. There was a little bit of alcohol as well. There was cheeses and all kinds of craft that you can think of, small scale artisanal stuff that you could think of. So that gave me an opportunity to learn about fermentation, and kombucha was something that really caught my attention. It was super alien like. Yesterday I was thinking it does look like the mind flare from Stranger Things, that goopy thing that crawls in. Some of
How many years ago was this?
Huh?
How many years ago was this?
It was the year 2016. Thank you for bringing that up. So it was December 2016 when I first saw a SCOBY, and I was super afraid. And then one of the facilitator at the workshops, he said that it's a kombucha SCOBY. You can probably take it home, an extra one, and see how the batch turns out.
Yeah.
I said yes at that time. But when I brought it back to Bangalore, I was so terrified. I thought, what if during the travel it has become poisonous? And what if it is wrong?
Really like structure, I don't know. And yeah.
It was so intimidating. And I just had to let go of that. That was my first ever experience, which was very, very, very intimidating. But in 2017, I got an opportunity to travel for work to the US. And that's when I actually drank kombucha. That was my first ever experience of drinking. So drinking changed everything for me. From an alien-like thing, it became a very beloved beverage for me. And then I started reading a lot about it. It is fermented, it is made with tea, it has flavors, and it is great for your gut. And I just kept going in and in the rabbit hole. And a friend of mine in the US lent me her SCOBY, and that was what I brought back to Bangalore.
The first SCOBY that you got was dead. Was gone.
It was not dead. I think of it, I was just super terrified what to do. What if I have not handled it properly in the entire journey and something has gone wrong with it? So I just let go of it completely. But when I brought my friend's SCOBY, I gave it a shot. I actually started brewing like a tiny cup of tea. and I put my little drops and little bit of the pellicle, and I just prayed that it survives. And after 3 days, I started seeing bubbles in the jar. And that's when I knew that I have not killed the SCOBY, and I think I can do something about it. So I used to attend to it every single day like a pet in a jar. And I fermented one cup, 250 ml of
Yeah. Do you
SCOBY.
remember
And
what flavor did you made it
just
to?
black tea. I think, yes, good question. I think I used oolong tea. I was frenetically looking for oolong tea near me. And remind you, that was the year 2018 when I had come back from the US. There was not a lot of tea brands around. People did not know a lot about oolong teas also.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
there was a few, and I just bought some tea from them, and that's how I brewed my first tiny 1 cup of oolong tea. And that I let it ferment for a long time so that I could use it for a bigger batch.
Yeah.
So we have been using that same SCOBY up
Oh
until
wow.
now, all
That's
over kombucha.
yeah, that's amazing. Almost 10 years, 9 years.
Yeah,
That's a
seven
long.
plus years. And Mountain Bee is 7 years now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's my God, can you believe that? It's like a seed. It grows and then you keep attending to
But
it. And
when
then
it was growing, how was your reaction to it? Like, what's like a lot of people ask me, like, oh, it's growing. I can see some white structure on it. Is it the mole? Is it going bad? What was it for you like? Like your first kombucha, and you start seeing SCOBY growing on top of the surface, the cellulose coming out of it, and what was your reaction to it? Do you remember or?
I'm trying to think. Yes, my reaction was not different from any enthusiastic home brewer. I was like over the moon that it is actually so showing me the signs of life. Because
Yeah.
my friend told me that it'll grow a layer, it'll start bubbling. It was doing all of those things. And funnily, there was not a lot of content on the internet to
No.
verify stuff. So mold or no mold, I had to judge by myself.
You didn't even have Chat GPT to send picture and ask.
Seriously, it was all intuitions and so just figuring things out by yourself. And I think that was really great. It taught me a lot about brewing and taking care of the SCOBY. And I think that's where the journey started. I was involved so intensely in doing batches after batch and preserving the starter. And at some point I had so many of those pellicles, and I did not know what to do. And then I started reading more and more about it. That how to maintain your SCOBY starters, how do you keep brewing continuously and stuff. And I think. I learned quite a bit, and I would love to share that along the way when we are talking more.
Yeah, I think it's a journey. Like the first time I saw something growing on my tea, I was so scared. I was like, "What is this happening?" Because it's always like different texture, and it's like a thin, firm layer on the top, which is white in color. It gets opaque. It's like it doesn't look like mold. Yeah, and it starts growing with time, and I'm like, "What's happening?" I need to check with my fermenter friend and see what's happening with it and how is it mold, it's not mold. So it's always it's a question or it's a doubt for beginners that is our kombucha going right or wrong, because every batch will give you so many different kinds of SCOBY, some different colors and different texture. Feel like it's always mystical to
Yes.
see these things and then also to realize that it's not going bad, it's going good, it's all right.
It's very fascinating, super fascinating.
We're gonna come on this topic where we're gonna know how to find out if the SCOBY is right or wrong or is growing correctly. But before that, I want to ask you, for people who are watching us, for them who doesn't know kombucha, who doesn't know what SCOBY is, how would you explain a layman or a common person in India what actually kombucha is and what is SCOBY?
Perfect. I think it's the simplest way to understand kombucha is to know that it is a tea liquor which is sweet and fermented with a special culture. And that culture is called SCOBY. It is an acronym which stands for symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. So historically, some yeast and some bacteria became friends and started to live together and decided to feast on sweet tea. And while they were feasting on sweet tea, they were fermenting it, changing its properties, making it more and more nutritious. And while they were doing it, the bacteria and yeast were transforming the sweet tea into kombucha. They were also spinning this cellulose structure. We call it bacterial cellulose because bacteria are responsible for creating that thin pellicle on the surface of your fermentation vessel. And that is the byproduct of fermentation. So they are transforming tea into kombucha and spinning this mushroom over the surface. And that is super fascinating for anybody. It's like it can flip you when you understand that this is how kombucha is made.
Yeah. So the whole process is saying the whole process of fermentation is introducing good bacteria into the tea and converting it into liquid, which is beneficial for your gut. And
so there's something important that happens when you are fermenting kombucha. The SCOBY that we call is actually the bacteria and yeast that could be dispersed in the liquid, that brown color liquid that you see. And they're also present in the cellulose structure. The bacteria and yeast, it has, so there's a surface on top and then there is some liquid in it. And if you see that cellulose under a microscope, you would see a bunch of yeast and bacteria in the cellulose also. So there is this thing which home brewers kind of get hung up on, which I want to address here, is that SCOBY is the microbes. It can be present in the liquid and in the pellicle, the cellulose. The cellulose is not called SCOBY. SCOBY is just microbes. And microbes are invisible and they just hang out in the starter, the liquid, and they also spin the cellulose. The fermentation process is defined by giving the microbes the medium to grow in population. So the medium here is sweet tea. Tea means the actual tea, like a black tea, a white tea, or an oolong tea. So when you give the SCOBY sweet tea as a medium, the SCOBY starts to multiply. The bacteria and the yeast, they feast on those nutritions that you're giving it, and then they start increasing in population. They become acidic, they become supercarbonation focused. So this is what, and this happens in a symbiosis. This happens in a very godly manner, very equilibrium focused. Nothing goes up and down. Everything happens very harmoniously. That's why it is called symbiosis.
Symbiotic.
The exact amount of bacteria, exact amount of yeast, just converting your tea into this beautiful drink that has nutritious organic acids. It is rich in the live bacteria and the yeast that are great for you. And not just that, kombucha is rich in metabolites, things, the compounds that the bacteria and the yeast make while fermenting. So it's like a multiplication of all the good things. I love drawing this comparison that a cup of green tea versus a cup of green tea kombucha. If you look at the nutritional properties, the green tea kombucha will outperform the green tea, the unfermented green tea, multiple folds. So fermentation does magic to the tea.
Yes, definitely. I agree. And fermentation, just not with kombucha, but any kind of fermentation that you do is just magical, and it just grows with live bacteria, and it just helps you with a lot of gut issues that people are facing these days. I feel like with fermented food, they can easily, easily be solved over time. I don't want to say that you just have a sip of, like a lot of people ask me this, that I have bloating. Can I just have a kombucha and it will go away? I'm like, it doesn't work like this. You have to be consistent with it. You have to, like, any kind of fermented food, you have to be, it should be in your lifestyle, where you are taking it every day, some amount, so that you are feeding continuous good bacteria to your gut. And that's how it's gonna help you in long run. It's not a quick game where it's not a supplement or a medicine.
For good food. Like everybody now understands the difference between probiotics and prebiotics, and how prebiotics are essential fiber that you need to feed your existing gut. So, and abusing antibiotics. So all these information that have been spread around, I think it has done good to a lot of people. And I think at this point we need to understand that this has to become a choice and as a prevention more than figuring out quick fix. It's not medicine, but it is way of life.
Yes, definitely. It should be in your lifestyle. It shouldn't be just taking a sip and thinking, oh, I will be all right by, having a sip. But what problem was it solving for you personally when it comes to kombucha? Like, did something happen? Like, did you have some gut issues, or did you see some changes in your body or in yourself after having kombucha from so many years? Like, we are talking about consistency. You're the biggest example of consistency, having kombucha somewhere or the other for 7 years. So did you see any change, or how did it help you?
Wow, you know what? I didn't realize it, but I do drink kombucha very regularly. Like, we end up drinking at least this much every day, almost every day. I think one of the biggest impact kombucha has had on me is that I don't feel extreme gut related issues or stomach related issues. I don't touch wood. I don't feel weird pains or constipation, or I would say my skin has also been quite healthy.
We can see that. Totally. We can see that.
It's good light. But I do feel that all of these things have really impacted the way my stomach, my gut has been. It has not given me any problem. I also feel that I fall less sick. Oh my God, that's what I feel.
I mean, in today's days and time, with so much of happening, fast life and bad food and pesticides and all of those things, if you're not falling sick, it's a very, very good thing.
So, and you know what? There are some indirect impacts that I feel I had because of being in a kombucha environment, like figuring out ingredients that are great for not just fermentation first, because making sure that I'm getting the cleanest, the most natural, organic, if possible, ingredients. So that's what we are making our products also with. So that I think is the awareness towards ingredients and sourcing responsibly and clean has really helped. There's another aspect I like to keep thinking, that when I am actually inside and brewing, it brings a lot of mental peace.
Yeah,
it's just me and the work and the scobies around, the smell, the tactile feeling of touching the SCOBY. It is something. Like, I think you can understand.
Yes, definitely. I feel that's something I also keep telling people, or my viewers, or people who do workshops with me, is that it's not like cooking, or it's not like, I won't say cooking, but I would say it's not a recipe given, formula given thing. It's a more sensory experience where you just don't follow the recipe. Of course, you follow the recipe, but you also have to learn from your eyes. You have to feel with your hands. You have to smell. You have to, it's like a complete sensory experience that a person can have while making kombucha or any kind of fermentation, because you have to, there's so many aspects that you have to keep in mind. And it's a nice experience. It's a therapeutic, I would say. It's a therapy for me as well
It
to
is.
just do.
And you and me, I think people may not be able to connect, but when you start doing it, when you start fermenting, when you start baking, when you start using your hands and interact with nature in the form of microbes, you kind of become very connected to the food that you're eating. So I feel it's even more important now in the times of quick commerce and everything being so convenient in terms of food. Seeing these kind of foods, which take a lot of time, a lot of care, and depends completely on nature, seeing that brings a lot of patience, understanding, and perspective into your life. So definitely kombucha is great for your gut, but it brings an entire ecosystem of thoughts in your life.
Definitely, I agree with that point. You said you get connected mentally, mindfully with the thing you're doing. Like, no, people say, "Oh, we should do a slow living, we should go to a farm and eat healthy and just stay away from the chaotic cities and busy life." I feel like you can still attain a mindfulness in your busy life by doing these by fermenting at home, by making kombucha at home, as you said. It gets you in the conscious of slow, and you get more connected to the food, so you don't have to run away from the city. It's just that you need to inculcate the new life skills, I would say. Fermentation is becoming like a new life skill that people should be learning, and not just, it doesn't have benefits only related to that, but it also makes you slow, as you say, patient, and mindfulness gets more and more. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I can just talk and talk and talk more about this.
I can feel that. Yeah.
I think one of the things that did what fermented food has done for me is that I feel like over the years, it's not been a very long time that I've been consistent with fermented food. It's just been 1.5 years that I've been more seriously understanding fermentation and food and trying to have that in my diet. But one thing that definitely I can see the change is that I always had digestion issue. As a kid, I was like always running to loo and always going to the bathroom. But now, since last 1.5 years, I can see that my digestion is much. I can feel it, that I'm not running to the bathroom again and again. I have much better relationship in my food, and that has impacted because of the good diet that I'm having, and also including fermented food into it, and kombucha and fibers and all of those things. So it really does help with a lot of things. And as you know, gut is connected to it's the second brain.
Exactly.
It's healthy, your whole body functions normally and very nicely. So yeah, I think everyone should include at least any kind of fermented food in their
You
diet.
need diversity of microbes in your diet. So if you don't like a certain ferment, big deal. You don't have to have that. You can switch to something else. Like a lot of people have sensitivity towards fermented foods in general also. So they also there is a lot of categories that they can still explore and figure out what they are not allergic to. So I would say that it's a good adventure to be on and figure out what you want to include in your diet.
Yeah, definitely. But when you say a lot of people are also allergic, no,
They have sensitivities towards fermented foods. There is something called histamine intolerance.
Okay.
That can get triggered if they consume certain kinds of fermented foods.
So is there a way to find it out before having it, or it's just
you actually or after having? So histamine is not like a direct consequence of eating something fermented. So you eat something fermented, the microbes actually trigger response in your body, which had been an underlying situation, and then it tells your body that you have something going wrong in your body. Go treat it. So the the histamine intolerance is a sign of something else.
Okay.
It just the fermented food just tells you,
Yes.
signals something is going on, which is also nice
To know,
benefit.
hey, it's like giving you a signal. Hey, stop! Your body is not responding correctly. You need to
Yeah.
find out what's wrong with it.
Yeah.
That's. If I have to ask you, like a lot of people are very new to kombucha and they want to brew at home. A lot of people want to learn fermentation. So, what is the one piece of advice you wish you had when you started, and you want to pass it on to people now who wants to start at home?
Okay, I think I have two, if you don't mind.
Yeah, the
Um,
more the better.
the first and the foremost important point I feel is that take care of your starter and use the starter which is undrinkable. A lot of times I've seen home brewers use very weak starter for their
What do you mean
batches.
by starter, which is undrinkable? Like,
Okay. We talked that the SCOBY is liquid and the cellulose on top. So I personally like to say, like, use starter, a very strong, almost vinegar-like drinking
Hmm.
liquid as your seed, your what is that thing? Backslop. When you backslop the starter in your fresh batch, right?
Yeah.
The liquid that you're using, you have to make sure that it is very, very vinegary. And you can achieve that by over fermenting your existing kombucha. So unless and until it is over fermented, you should not use it. Because if you use drinking a great kombucha, like a kombucha that you can drink, and you are using that as your starter for the batch, it is not going to give you a, a brew that is predictable. It may even be very weak, and
Yeah.
you may go cold. So that's number one. Have a very strong starter, the liquid. And number two, kind of little uh, controversial probably, but don't get hung up on the SCOBY cellulose at all. Like
Yes.
you can really discard it. You can make gummies with it, dry it. We make lights with it, by the way. We dry our cellulose and work with a brand to upcycle them and make lights. I think I have some. I can
Oh
show
wow.
you. I don't know how I get it. This is this is an old one, but
It's made out of Scooby,
yeah,
the cellulose.
yeah, it glows and all. So you see how nice and thick, almost like a
Yeah.
leather.
Very nice.
So the bacterial cellulose is something that you're going to keep getting in your batches subsequently. The more you brew, the more cellulose you will have. The best thing to do is just have one sheet per jar. Don't crowd your vessel. Your liquid is almost liquid gold. So liquid is very precious for drinking, for starter. You can you can just discard or compost your cellulose and have one only. Do not have a jar full of the cellulose and no liquid. Please don't do that.
Yes. I never knew that you have making light lamps from your cellulose. That's so fascinating to see. That's nice.
I'm excited for what is happening. We're doing something like on a little bigger scale also. I'll share more about it, but we definitely don't let our pellicles to go for waste.
Yeah.
Trying to make things with it. So, yeah.
Yes. Have you also made gummies and like candies out of it?
We make gummies. They almost look like chicken pieces. Oh my god! In some of our events, we actually take our gummies also. The response had been so hilarious. Like, first of all, they taste good. The way we make it makes them really chewy, but without any fiber. Normally, your scobies are very hardy and they have a lot of these threads when you keep chewing. But the way we made was it's very biteable and it was very yummy. So we do gummies and we also do jellos, but that is with the liquid,
Okay.
like jello shots kind. It's fun. So did like a bunch of stuff for the SCOBY gummies. I think my favorite is to make non-edible stuff with the cellulose. It's so hardy. It's leather. It's just pure
Yeah.
biomaterial. Yeah.
Mm. It's 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 so fascinating to know that with just one tiny bit of thing, you can just grow it from and make thousands of things. Like it's
Blows my mind. You won't believe. The SCOBY that I got was probably this big. It is what,
yeah,
this big only. 1 inch.
1 inch.
I had 1 inch of the pellicle and not even 60 ml of the liquid. That's all I had. And back in the day, there was no Amazon selling SCOBYs. Nobody in at least in Bangalore was selling any kombucha which I can buy and make my own SCOBY. No. So that friend of mine who gave me her SCOBY, it's still like the same lineage, and I was able to, like, we make lights with the same SCOBY that she had
Yes.
given me 7 years ago. Can you believe that?
And that's also the best part of the community who ferments. I feel like they're so generous in just giving away your Scooby, and I feel like that's the best part, that people just want to share. They don't want to, like, oh no, this is my Scooby, I don't want to give it to you. They just love sharing Scooby, and people are just amazing with that. Like, they know the importance and they want to spread. So it's kudos to people who just share, because everyone has got Scooby from some friend of theirs or some place. Like, I remember I was in Oroville and I wanted to brew, and there was one friend, this cafe, and I was working with them, and they just gave me the Scooby and like, take it home, play with it, learn, do things with it. So it's so amazing to see that
It's
people
amazing.
just like to spread love through Scooby. That's amazing. But you said that the pH, the liquid, the starter liquid should be very strong, should be sour, which also means the pH level. If you go more in detail, it's like the pH level should
Yes,
be.
definitely. How do you know that your starter, your liquid is strong enough? The best thing and the most cost free is to use those pH strips.
Yes.
Or if you don't want to use a pH strip, you can use a pH meter. It's very easily available at hardware stores, I guess, or on Amazon, the best. You can use that, and there will be calibration instructions. You have to calibrate your tool, and then you dip it in the kombucha liquid, and it will show you the exact pH value. Ideally, anything less than 2.8 is great. Like anything less
Again,
than
for
3.
people who don't know what pH is, let's go very basic. What pH is first?
pH is hydrogen ions, I guess. The density of hydrogen ions in your liquid.
Again, it's you're going very layman. Like, let's talk about acidity and
Let's just
that
talk.
term.
So
So,
pH is an indication of how sour any liquid is. You can dip the meter in the liquid and it will give you a number, and that you can compare that number and figure out how sour it is. So, for example, lemon would have a pH of around 2.5. So you know how tangy and puckering lemon is. So if pH of lemon is 2.5, your kombucha could have 2.5, or it could be a little higher also. 3 is still okay. But if it is 3.5 or 3.8, that means it's a very drinking friendly kombucha. Don't use it as a starter yet. Let it be in the open in a jar with the cloth on, and let it ferment for maybe a couple of weeks so that the pH comes down. The From 3.8, it will probably become 2.8 in 10 days or so. And that's when it is ready to inoculate a big batch. So you make a big batch and put that small amount of starter into the jar, and then the bacteria and yeast will start doing their work 24/7. They will start multiplying. They will start doing the actual fermentation process, which is converting sugars and nitrogen into acids, alcohols, and enzymes. And that cycle will keep going on and on and on unless and until you stop it by means of cutting the oxygen supply. You put that once you do you want me to explain? So the process would take anywhere between 10 to 14 days, the first fermentation.
So I will
Depending
put it like this. If I'm a new home brewer who doesn't know anything about kombucha, how to do it,
Oh,
I
sorry.
have a starter. I have the liquid starter. I have the Scooby, the cellulose. I have both of them. Now you're saying that I have to let my starter liquid ferment longer so that it becomes sour, like vinegar. And then I'm going to use it in a bigger batch of black tea with sugar. Sorry?
Yeah. So the other thing that you can do is actually taste it. If you
Yes.
don't have a pH meter, you don't have access to pH strips, just taste it. It should taste like vinegar. You should not be able to drink good.
Yes.
So that's when you know it's ready for you to brew another batch. And that's a mistake that a lot of people do. I would really urge everybody to have patience, spend time in building your starter bank, and not use weak starter ever.
So now I have followed your instruction. I have made my first brew. How do I know that it's gone bad or it's just sour? What are the visible symptoms, visible signs of that kombucha is going bad? As we have been discussing, that's so difficult to find out whether the cellulose or the Scooby growing on top of the kombucha is actually good or is getting mold or it's getting moldy. So how does a new person doing at home find out that the is good?
It's probably one of the most asked questions. How do you know that you're progressing in the right direction? So the first thing that the visual cue that you get as a home brewer is a thin layer of cellulose that starts growing on the surface. You will start seeing that mostly after 3 or 4 days, a thin sheet. It's like malai.
Yes.
So you know what, the way we do it commercially versus home brewers is so different, because I'm going to say a lot of things that are completely opposite to what we have on the internet.
Yes.
I personally would say keep stirring it, keep stirring your fermentation jar so that it doesn't grow the cellulose. And because it will not grow the cellulose, it will not grow any mold also. And you will, in the process, aerate your brew. Aeration is great for fermentation. It's amazing. The more you aerate, the more chances are for the bacteria to grow and do the job of making the kombucha nutritious.
Yes.
But
People want to see that Scooby growing, that's the whole fun part of kombucha. You are destroying kombucha for people.
I'll not spoil it for anybody. I will still say that if you are fond of letting the cellulose grow, the first thing that you should always keep doing is keep your cellulose always hydrated with kombucha. Like, keep pushing it down under the surface so that it is always wet. Because when it is wet, it will not grow any mold. However, sometimes you have left it, it's not like a baby and you have other things in the world to take care of. It's all right. You can come back and look at the SCOBY and look for fuzzy black spots.
Yes.
Black, white, sometimes green, sometimes orange also.
Yeah.
So depending on where you live. So if you see fuzzy growth on top of the surface, that means it may have been infected with mold. However, if you see under the surface, you will see a lot of strands growing. Under the surface strands are yeast. It's absolutely harmless and desirable. So let the under liquid activity not scare you. But over the surface is what you have to pay attention to, because oxygen is the culprit that brings in all kinds of pathogens and attacks your SCOBY. So look for fuzzy growth. look for anything that's um, infestation of the flies. Uh, that happens if you have used a cheesecloth instead of cotton, like a handkerchief or something. Don't use cheesecloth or a muslin cloth. Use proper cotton, the thread, how you have the handkerchief, right? That kind would be like a proper cloth, so that none of the insects can infiltrate and come and grow all kinds of stuff. So those are the two things that are very common. There's a third one, by the way. There's that's called cam yeast, KAHM. It has impacted a lot of our initial brews, a lot, like a lot. Um, it happens if you have some wild yeast around, or it also happens, in my understanding, with temperature difference. If your brews are a little hotter, and if you have introduced your starter during because in the hotter temperature, like a 28 or 29 degrees Celsius is hot, that may end up having cam yeast. But the good part is cam yeast is not dangerous like mold. Moldy kombucha should be discarded. But if there is cam yeast, the chances are still quite in your favor that you may be able to still ferment that batch. You may have to probably put in more starter, but it will be safe. Whereas in mold, it is not safe. You have to completely discard everything. You can't use any starter also from that batch. If you had only that as your starter reserve, then you will have to look for
a new friend who can give you a more starter or more scoopy.
Yeah. So it's very important to practice safety during fermentation. Basic sanitizing, cleaning, air drying is something that you have to practice along the way. You just learn it the hard way otherwise.
Yes, definitely. You drink it, you get sick, and then you learn it. It's not good.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, that's very important. I think the key here is that we have to look for black, green, blue.
Fuzzy growth, yes. Fuzzy growth on the surface means there is mold.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of people ask me this question as well, that what about sugar in fermentation, especially kombucha, anything that they're drinking, fermented drinks. Like, isn't sugar bad for them? Does it stay in the drink? We have diabetics. Can we have kombucha now? What happens? We are adding a lot of sugar to the kombucha. So what is happening with the sugar in the kombucha? Like, how can we just burst this myth?
Agreed. I think it's probably one of the top 3 questions that home brewers ask. The first thing that we need to understand is the role of sugar in fermentation. Sugar brings in the source of carbohydrates for the SCOBY. The bacteria and the yeast need food to do fermentation. That food is sugar. The yeast breaks down the sugar and makes it easier for the bacteria to eat and make probiotics. So technically, the sugars are getting converted into all the probiotics that kombucha is known for. Number one, if there is no sugar, there is no kombucha and no kombucha probiotics. So that's the basic underlying benefit of kombucha that comes from sugar. Second thing is that while we definitely add sugar to the kombucha, the process of fermenting makes the sugar super, super low towards the end of your fermentation. So the longer you ferment your kombucha, the lesser sugar you will have at the end of your fermentation cycle. And that's such a beautiful and important chemical equation that happens, that something as evil as sugar actually gives you so much along the way and becomes super, super low in quantity just because it passes through the microbes. And A lot of it is also dependent on your recipes. A lot of times, I've seen home brewers use a lot of sugar in their recipes. So I would really suggest that do not add 250 grams per liter, 250 grams of sugar per liter, please. That's SCOBY will not be able to help you in that way. Have good concrete recipes. In my opinion, anything between 40 and 70 grams still works. Like that's a range that I like to play with, and it's perfect amount of food for the SCOBY, and it gives you very very low sugar kombucha. Uh, that I would say that one of our kombucha flavors, the original boost, has 3.5, 3.4 grams of sugar per 100 ml. So the entire bottle of 220 ml has not more than 6.4 grams of sugar, which is very, very low compared to any packed beverage that you see in the market.
Mm.
Imagine 22 grams in fruit juice Tetra Pak and just 6 grams in kombucha. So you need to understand the role the sugar is playing, the recipe, the original recipe, how much was given to the SCOBY, and what is the output residual sugar, super important. And also the fact that you need sugar for SCOBY to function.
Yes.
There is no such thing as sugar-free kombucha. There is no such thing as no jagged kombucha or maple syrup kombucha, because you have to give SCOBY the most basic form of carbohydrate, and that comes mostly from the sucrose, the glucose, and the fructose. Plain white sugar is great. You're not consuming that white sugar by yourself. You're actually giving it to SCOBY so that it has all the energy to do those chemical reactions, all the sciencey stuff that SCOBY does, and makes your kombucha super, super nutritious and very low in sugar. You need to understand that engine.
Yeah. That's so if a person having diabetics, can he or she have kombucha, or does kombucha also spike sugar level? You said it gets down the sugar content after fermentation, but it's not completely finished. There's still some kind of sugar. So do we need to keep in mind that this can affect the people who have diabetics or can spike the sugar?
I would agree with the fact that it still has sugar, but if a person is already consuming something sugary, like for diabetics, even a banana is going to spike their glucose, right? So I would say that they can try and also talk with their doctors to figure out, probably monitor their glucose continuously. But my dad is also diabetic, and occasionally he drinks kombucha. But because I introduced kombucha to him, he has become increasingly interested in all kinds of fermented foods. So I think that's a good thing that happened.
That's great. Yeah.
But occasionally he did not tell me that he had any spikes, but I would still urge everybody to be cautious of the amount of sugar they're having in their kombuchas, because a lot of times home brewed kombucha can be super high in sugar. And one thing that you can actually, as a home brewer, invest in is a Brix meter, BRIX. Something super, super helpful. It tells you how much sugar is there in per 100 gram of the substance. So there are different kinds of Brix meters available. You can get something which is suitable for kombucha. When you put the kombucha liquid in the Brix meter, it gives you a range. Say if it is showing 4. 4 means that in 100 ml of kombucha, you have 4 grams of sugar. And this information is so, so crucial in making a lot of decisions, and also telling you how high or how low the kombucha is in sugar. So as a home brewer, you can invest in a pH meter and a big Brix meter. It will help you get a lot of data and understand your brews better. Yeah.
And somebody who wants to start commercially, they also have the tips now. They can also get these meters and.
If you're not doing it already.
But can we also say that people who have these problems with sugar, or they are very concerned about the sugar in the kombucha, is it safe to say that they can have overly fermented kombucha?
Ooh, that's a good question.
And then,
but overly fermented kombucha does have its own problem. It has a lot of acid concentration. It is almost as acidic as apple cider vinegar. So it can give you acid reflux. It can give you burning sensation in your stomach. It will also impact your enamel, your teeth. So I would still suggest not to drink kombucha vinegar, the over-fermented kombucha. But it's always just nice to check with your doctor and tell them, this is the kombucha I'm having. It has this much sugar. This is my spike or no spike. Can I still have it? It's always important to keep your doctor informed if you are introducing anything in your diet, especially for diabetics. And be watchful of the actual sugar content, not just the fact that it has sugar or no sugar. Like, I personally believe that very less sugar is still better than artificial sugars.
Yeah. So no overly fermented kombucha, please.
Yes. It's undrinkable. It'll make you sick, maybe, because I don't like to drink over fermented.
Yeah, that's nice. That's good to know, because a lot of people was like, can we just ferment a little further till the time it has no sugar, a little more sour, more overly fermented? That's a big no.
That's starter. You should be using it as starter and not for drinking.
Not for drinking. Yes. Is there any? We know adults should have kombucha, but from what age people should start drinking kombucha in their life?
That's funny, because I see a lot of young customers who come to us, and they come with their parents, so they have their parents' approval. And I feel that it is important to.
How young are they?
I think maybe 5th grade or something. You won't believe, I want to tell you this. Last month, we did an event, a festival, where a 5th grader or a 6th grader came to us casually, and the first question he asked was, how long do you ferment your kombucha?
Wow.
And I was blown. I was like, I think I have done my part. My purpose in life is solved. A young kid has so much understanding about the food that they're trying to consume. That's amazing.
Very nice.
So kids, they are exposed to a lot of beverages, a lot of high caffeine, high sugar beverages, right? And I feel kombucha is nowhere in the vicinity of being unsafe. It does have caffeine, it does have sugar, but it has all the other good stuff that are much more higher. Like 99% is the good stuff, and there is very less caffeine that does not do anything, and there is super low sugar if you pick the right one. So I would say it's much better than giving them a Tetra Pak of fruit juice or a soda person. Definitely.
So what would you say the age bracket that people can have? Is there how young could a person?
Kombucha is for everybody. I wouldn't say that very young toddlers should have kombucha. I think it's safe for standard kids. I think 10 years.
10 years and above.
10 years and above. But if somebody is home brewing and they have kids at home, I've seen a lot of home brewers who just give their kids kombucha, young kids also. They have no problem. So I think it's parents' discretion, very important in giving their kids kombucha or not.
A lot of people are confused whether because they also associate fermentation with alcohol. generation
Yeah.
and everything. So they're very concerned about, can we give it to kids? And if yes, then how much can we give it to our kids? Like, is there
Yeah.
a fixed quantity that you have in
So
mind?
that's a great point actually, because for unpasteurized kombuchas, there will be trace amount of alcohol, and like how we don't pasteurize our kombucha,
Again,
our
for a common person, unpasteurized and pasteurized, we
why
need to
don't we
tell.
talk about it already? All right. So kombucha is a highly dynamic and transform a dynamic brew, meaning that it keeps fermenting even when it is in the bottle. And if kept unchecked and at ambient temperature, it may create overcarbonation and trace amounts of alcohol also. So we don't pasteurize, meaning that we let the microbes be alive in the end product, and we like to keep the microbes in check by keeping them extremely cold.
Hmm.
So that's the check you can have in order to make sure that your yeasts are not making a lot of alcohol. And as a commercial brand, we also have to get it tested. So our batches get tested for alcohol, and then you can you can show it to your customers like our kombucha has trace alcohol anywhere between zero point 0.2 and zero point 0.1 and zero point 0.2. That's super trace
No.
alcohol. For example, your I'll give you some comparison to draw. Overripe bananas and tree ripe oranges have much more alcohol content than 0.1%.
Wow, this is something new. I didn't know about this. This is amazing.
So, like an overripe banana, like the nice yellow banana that has a very good smell,
Yeah.
has alcohol much more than 0.1 or 0.2. So, naturally occurring alcohols are everywhere, but they are just present in traces, and kombucha is no different than that. You just have to make sure that you're not manufacturing kombucha that is high on these alcohols by keeping a bunch of checks. But for coming back to your question, kids, it's good that parents are sensitive, but they have to check with commercial brands if it is safe for the kids. It should not be hard kombucha. And most of the commercial brands who are not pasteurizing, their kombucha should be under the alcohol limits. Yeah.
That's good to know. But you was talking about pasteurized and unpasteurized kombucha, and I was also reading somewhere that if you heat your fermented food or drink, then all the microbes, alive living microbes, dies off, and then it just becomes any liquid or any food rather than So when you say unpasteurized mountain bee kombucha, so you're saying your kombucha still have all the microbes living healthy, which can help the gut to grow more.
Yes, exactly. So commercially available kombuchas come in different categories, and some could be pasteurized, some could be sterile filtered, some would be raw and unpasteurized like us. I think customers at this point need to be aware of what why they're why they're choosing kombucha and what brand they're choosing. If, for example, my objective is just to have a good drink which is low in calories, I don't mind anything beyond that. So they can have a pasteurized kombucha; it's totally fine. But imagine you're having kombucha for its gut healing properties, or your nutritionist or your doctor have advised you to include fermented foods in your diet. And if you're having pasteurized kombucha there, then it is not going to help you a lot. In that, for that particular benefit, you have to choose a raw and unpasteurized kombucha. So it is very important that as customers, we are just aware and
Yeah.
enjoy the kombucha that we want to at that point.
But that's very. It's a point to be note. Like we should look into these aspects while buying kombucha, as you said, because when I drink kombucha, I'm more like drinking it for health benefits. I'm not saying there's less calorie or less caffeine. I'm more like, oh, it has living bacteria that my gut needs, and I want to have that kind of kombucha. So it's very important to check what brand and what kind of kombucha you're.
Signs of signs that it is pasteurized or unpasteurized and stuff. There is something that it's a fun experiment that I want to share with everybody. Like, if you are curious, you're a home brewer or just a kombucha enthusiast or a science lover,
Yeah.
there is a fun little experiment that you can do to figure whether or not a kombucha is pasteurized.
Okay.
So you will have to spend your money, of course. You will have to buy those kombucha brands that you want to question. You can buy their bottles and put them in glasses like this.
Okay.
And cover it with a handkerchief and secure it and leave them at your counter. Check after 4 to 5 days for the cellulose growth. If your glass has a thin layer of cellulose growing on top, that means that the brand has not pasteurized their kombucha. It is unpasteurized. It still has those microbes that are still fermenting your kombucha and creating that cellulose layer. And if end of the 5 days, if you don't see the cellulose growing, that means that brand pasteurizes it.
Yes. So I think a lot of time I have failed making kombucha is because of I bought store-bought kombucha thinking that this will be my starter, and then the whole batch just turns out into a disaster and there's no kombucha to be. But does like companies or brands doesn't write that it's pasteurized and unpasteurized on their bottles?
I wish it was this easy. It depends on the country regulations, how much you have to declare. So in India, unfortunately, there are no laws or regulations about declaring such stuff on the packaging.
Okay.
Like how it is regulated for dairy and fortified foods and stuff, but it is not gotten into the kombucha category yet because, of course, kombucha is a very new industry. The government is not aware of a lot of technical details and technical nitty-gritties that go into kombucha production. But right now, at this point, none of the brands are liable to put any of the information out there. But having said that, I think a lot of brands actually tell you in a way or so that you can look for. Things like life culture means that it is unpasteurized, active life culture. So that is a very big indication. In our bottles, we actually put contains life culture. We have a raw sign that also indicates that it has the SCOBY making capabilities. Yes.
That's so. Yeah.
I think in Europe, in UK, I think there are some regulations which makes the brands declare the processing, or in the US. I'm still not sure, but it'll come to India eventually. As the industry matures, as the customers mature, as they start asking more questions. So I think it will come.
It will come. What has been your favorite flavor of kombucha so far? And if people have to replicate that at home, then how can they do it? And what has been your favorite that people can make at home?
The funny thing is, I personally prefer unflavored kombuchas, and my most favorite is a green tea based kombucha. So I want to urge everybody to use as many kinds of teas that they can get their hands on. The best results come from combining more than one tea together.
More than one tea? Oh, that's a brilliant tip. I've never heard of that. I should try it.
So you could do like a black and green together or a green and oolong together. Have your own little ratios, and it'll amaze you with the results you will get with having a tea blend of yours. So
people can experiment with the tea blend as well, like different kind of teas. No?
And then you have infinite choices of flavors, uh, botanicals, berries, spices, tropical fruit, stone fruit. So I think
What has been
you should.
your best?
I from if it is beyond green tea, then I like botanical flavors the most. My most surprising revelations had been juniper kombucha,
Okay.
using juniper berries, dried juniper berries in the kombucha, and I think I relate to that flavor a lot because
Okay.
it is intense. Yes,
Yeah.
I don't drink alcohol, and a lot of ingredients inspire me to use that in kombucha as a medium,
Mm.
and I wanna learn and experience those ingredients in non-alcoholic format. So um, I was surprised how amazing juniper berries can taste
Yeah.
in kombucha, and I think if you guys are even mildly interested in juniper berries, give it a shot. It'll amaze you, and don't be afraid of mixing other botanicals or fruits in it.
Hmm.
Juniper berries was one of my best finds, I think.
That's nice. So you just take fresh, dry. You said dried juniper
Right.
berries.
Dried juniper berries, and then you have the liberty of even using, say, oranges or lemon peel, something citrus to go
Mhm.
along with it. I used a green tea base because it is delicate and more clearer than a black tea, and that worked really well. So I think I still really enjoy um, green tea kombucha or given a chance a non-fruit kombucha, botanical.
Botanical,
Yeah,
like herbs, any kind of.
yeah, botanicals, flowers, spices.
Mm.
Yeah, I like those. I like cleaner flavors.
Yes, yes. I think yeah, cleaner flavors are also like I also like which is less bulky, like not very heavy with the flavors in it, like I want light, clean, and yeah, that's my vibe as well too. For flavors at least. Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
How have people accepted kombucha in India in last 5 years, and what do you think? What is the forecast in future, like of future? How is it gonna be changing the lives, and what do you think of kombucha being? Is it gonna be a regular drink at household? Like when guest comes at house, we give sharbat. We're gonna start
Yeah.
giving kombucha. Like take this kombucha. This is from MountainBee.
Yeah,
or
I think they're doing that already, but it's. I think when I started back in 2018, I did not realize what I was getting into. I just wanted to follow my passion. But at this point, running a brand for over 7 years, it makes me realize how far we have come in the journey. Where I used to make a tiny 4 liter batch, now we make several tons of several hundreds of liters. It has happened organically. It has happened because customers are loving our product. It is happening because customers are so aware about what they want to put in their body. It has really amazed me the kind of response we've gotten eventually. And I would also want to say that COVID was a big trigger in making
Mm,
people realize the importance of gut health. And kombucha became the obvious choice because it has low friction.
yeah,
It's just a beverage. It has been available in the supermarket now, so great. You can just grab that. Um, you can make it very interesting with fruit flavors. So that really added to the popularity because it has so many varieties and flavor choices. It made kombucha really really exciting,
yeah.
and also the fact that people are drinking less alcohol and they're looking for a lot of functional beverages now. Kombucha is the obvious choice. Like if they don't want alcohol, they want they don't want soda for sure.
Hmm.
The next obvious choice is a kombucha.
Yes.
It has become the default drink of choice for non-drinkers and
Yes.
sometimes for drinkers also when they're not drinking. So earlier we had very less options in terms of non-alcoholic beverages. There was absolutely nothing. You used to get those ultra sugary blue color drinks in cafes and restaurants. When you asked for non-alcoholic stuff, they will
Yes,
give you a
yes,
cocktail.
exactly.
But oh my God, now you see non-alcoholic drinks on the menu, kombucha-based stuff. I mean, we ourselves, we do a lot of mixology with kombucha. We do sober cocktails, and the response has been so phenomenal. Like people are very accepting of the fact that it is not a fad at all. It is not like a passing trend. Kombucha has kind of become a sign of fermented foods going mainstream.
Yes, definitely. I agree. There's so many standalone uh, mocktail bars coming up
Yeah.
in the world, which are doing amazingly good mocktails with kombucha and fermented drinks. So, future is definitely shining for probiotics, gut friendly drinks, kombucha.
Fermented stuff. Yeah, because the kind of it's a world of flavors that was not explored before. It is so amazing to be able to make new flavors by using fermentation as a tool. And kombucha is a great blank canvas.
Yes,
You
definitely.
can do wonders with it. Like, I mean, in our small brewing setup itself, we have done like such crazy experiments that kind of blew everybody's minds.
Mm.
Like we have done all kinds of mixology. We've done things like clarification. We even try to do a bunch of experiments with alcohol and controlling it and stuff like that. So I think flavor extraction using kombucha as a medium to extract flavors from spices or botanicals or making kombucha vinegars. I mean, it
Yeah.
just blows my mind. Like
There's
what
so
we can.
much that people can do with it. And also I think the good part with kombucha is you can, as you said, it's a blank canvas. Fermented food is a blank canvas itself that people are still exploring, but it comes with a lot of good, healthy benefits.
No
It's not
wonder.
just different flavors and varieties, but it's actually also healthy for you and good for you. So why not try something
Exactly. Like
healthier than having something non-healthy?
I definitely think that this is going to be mainstream. Kombucha is going to be mainstream in the future. It's not a trend or a fad, which I'm so glad about. And I'm very, very much looking forward to a lot of innovation and R&D in this field. Like I would love to see more cutting edge technology coming in the field of kombucha so that it can help brands like us in keeping kombucha unpasteurized and making it at scale. So I would want to see a lot of innovation in terms of processes, in terms of making things easier. Um, yeah, I think that's what I'm really looking forward to.
That's
Definitely.
yes. The sky is the limit. It's amazing to see how things are changing and has changed. People are more accepting of fermented food and kombucha, and they're
Oh,
getting
definitely.
more and more aware these days that they need to eat something which is good for their gut, good for their body. So I think that conscious mind is, as you said, a 5-year fifth grader student coming and asking you for how long have you fermented. It definitely shows that people are getting aware, and all generation of them, thanks to social media, or I don't know what to thank,
Everybody is doing their part in creating that
in creating
awareness.
the
Like
awareness.
now somebody asked about what is kombucha. Honestly, like when we go do events and stuff, we don't get questions like what is kombucha a lot. We get questions like this: how long you have fermented, what are the teas you're using, what kinds of flavors do you do,
Yes.
what kind of brewing that you do. Yeah, so it blows my mind that people have really passed that first awareness stage and now they are exploring. I'm very excited for this, and I want all brands to keep up with this and
Yeah,
not let the customers down.
definitely. Well, thank you so much. I have So many questions to ask you about kombucha and fermentation, and I have genuinely learned a lot from this conversation, like about so many various things that I didn't even know that alcohol, bananas have alcohol, and orange has alcohol too. So thank you so much for sharing that with us and the audience. I am sure people have loved watching you and this episode, and would really make kombucha at home. And yes, thank you so much for doing this for us with us.
Absolutely. It has been my pleasure to be able to share my journey with you, Utkarsh. I couldn't have asked for a better end of the week than this. Really
Yes.
enjoyed sharing everything. I hope we can do more of these fun stuff, but all the best for your series. I'm looking forward to what you do.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.